Have you ever felt like you are giving absolutely everything in a relationship, but for some reason your partner just doesn't seem to get it? Or maybe you're on the other side of that, feeling kind of unloved, even though your partner swears they're showing you affection all the time. Well, you are definitely not alone. And the answer might be way simpler than you think. Today, we're going to dive into Gary Chapman's The Five Love Languages, a book that has totally transformed how millions of people see and express love. It all kicks off with a question that, let's be honest, so many of us have asked ourselves. What happens to that magical, in-love feeling after you get married? Why does that initial easy spark so often feel like it just fades away? Chapman really grounds this whole problem in a real conversation he had on an airplane. He's sitting next to this successful businessman who's been divorced 3 times, and the guy is just completely baffled. He says, I felt the love, I expressed it, but after the wedding, it just vanished. His sincerity was never the issue. So what was going on? To figure this out, Chapman gives us a really simple but powerful idea. He argues that the root cause of most problems in a marriage isn't a lack of love. No, it's something he calls an empty love tank. Okay, so just imagine that every single one of us is walking around with an emotional love tank. When your partner feels genuinely loved and appreciated, their tank is full, and the relationship just feels strong and healthy. But when that tank is empty, people can get withdrawn or critical, or they might even lash out. And it's not because they're bad people. It's because a fundamental emotional need just isn't being met. So why does the tank suddenly seem to run dry? Well, Chapman points to research by a psychologist named Dorothy Tenov. She found that the average lifespan of that obsessive head-over-heels in love feeling is only about 2 years. After that initial high fades, we have to start making a conscious choice, a real effort to keep our partner's love tank full. The problem is, most of us have no idea how. And this, right here, gets to the very heart of the issue. The man on the plane was sincere, and so are most couples who end up drifting apart. The issue isn't a lack of love, it's a communication breakdown. See, we often end up giving love in the way that we want to receive it, and that's the root of the whole misunderstanding. Chapman's most powerful metaphor is this. Think of emotional love like a spoken language. Imagine you're speaking English and you're expressing your love clearly, passionately, sincerely. But what if your partner only understands Chinese? It doesn't matter how loudly or how often you shout, "I love you!" The message just isn't going to get through. You are literally speaking different languages. So if the problem is speaking the wrong language, well, the solution is pretty obvious, right? We have to learn the right one. Chapman says that after years and years of counseling couples, he discovered that there are basically 5 primary emotional love languages that people speak and understand. And here they are, the big 5. First up, words of affirmation. This is all about using words to build your partner up. Compliments, encouragement, just saying I love you. Then there's quality time, and that means giving your undivided attention. No phones, no TV, just you and them. Next is receiving gifts. For some people, a thoughtful, tangible gift is what makes them feel the most loved. Acts of service is all about doing things you know your partner would like you to do. And finally, physical touch, expressing love through holding hands, hugging, that kind of thing. We all have a primary language, and the whole key is to figure out your partner's and start speaking it. Okay, so that's the theory. But how does this actually play out in real life? Let's look at 2 incredible case studies from Chapman's work that show just how powerful this whole idea can be when you put it into action. All right, first, let's meet Bill and Betty Jo. Bill works incredibly hard to provide for his family, and what he wants most in return is for them to appreciate his effort. His language is words of affirmation. Betty Jo, on the other hand, just feels lonely and totally disconnected. Her love tank is on empty because her primary language is quality time. See the problem? So Chapman's first piece of advice to Bill was to start complimenting Betty Jo, basically to speak his own language. And yeah, Betty Jo appreciated the kind words, but her core need still wasn't being met. As she put it, all the money and success in the world didn't mean a thing because what she really wanted was his focused, undivided attention. Bill was speaking English, but Betty Jo needed to hear Chinese. Now for an even more dramatic story, Jim and Janice. Janice felt completely used and unappreciated. She said their marriage felt totally empty, and she'd just given up. For her, the love was gone, and she was actually getting ready to leave Jim for good. But then, after going to a seminar, Jim had a realization. Janice's primary love language was receiving gifts. So he started a little experiment. For 1 week, he gave her a small, thoughtful gift every single day. And we're not talking about extravagant stuff here. These are just small, tangible symbols that he was thinking about her. The effect was absolutely profound. For Janice, these tiny gifts were like a downpour of rain on a desert. She says right here, Jim had never given her flowers or cards because he thought they were a waste of money. But when he finally started speaking her language, it completely changed how she saw his love. To her, it felt like a miracle. This just nails the central lesson, doesn't it? Both Bill and Jim were sincere guys. They loved their wives, but that love wasn't actually being felt until they stopped speaking their own native language and made the effort to learn their partners. Love isn't just about what you give, it's about giving in a way that can actually be received. So right about now, you're probably wondering, okay, how do I figure out my own language or my partner's? Well, Chapman didn't just leave us with the theory, he created practical tools, like this personal profile quiz from the book, to help people pinpoint their primary love language, which makes this whole concept super actionable. And ultimately, this all comes back to a much deeper truth. That initial in-love obsession, that's an instinct. It's effortless. But real, lasting love, that's something different. It's a choice. It's the conscious decision to learn a new language and to put in the energy to fill your partner's love tank, especially after that initial thrill is gone. So, we'll leave you with this one question. It's not about whether you love your partner. It's about whether they feel loved by you. Are you sincerely expressing your affection in a language they just can't understand? Or are you making the choice to speak the one that truly, deeply reaches their heart?